The Grand Belmont restaurant occupied the entire top floor of the tallest building in Manhattan, where crystal chandeliers cast dancing shadows across tables dressed in ivory silk. James Mitchell adjusted his platinum cufflinks as he gazed through floor-to-ceiling windows at the city lights twinkling 40 stories below. At 40 years old, he had built an empire in real estate that stretched across 5 continents, but tonight he felt the familiar hollowness that no amount of success could fill. Patricia, his assistant, had arranged this blind date with what she called perfect precision. Emma Rodriguez, she had said, was a brilliant marketing executive with an impressive background and no complicated history. On paper, she seemed ideal. James had been through enough of these carefully orchestrated meetings to know that perfection on paper rarely translated to genuine connection, but something in Patricia's enthusiasm had convinced him to try once more. The reservation was for 8 o'clock. It was now 8:15, and James found himself studying the menu he had already memorized, wondering if he should simply leave before she arrived. He had spent too many evenings making polite conversation with women who saw only his bank account, never the man behind the fortune. "Excuse me, sir." The voice was so soft he almost missed it over the ambient music and low chatter of other diners. James looked up and froze. Standing beside his table was a little girl who could not have been more than 8 years old. She wore a navy blue dress that had clearly been washed many times, though it remained clean and carefully pressed. Her dark hair was pulled back in 2 neat braids, and her brown eyes held a maturity that seemed far beyond her years. In her small hands, she clutched a worn backpack decorated with fading rainbow stickers. "Hello." James set down his menu, genuinely puzzled. "Are you lost? Where are your parents?" The little girl took a deep breath, as if gathering courage. "My name is Lily Rodriguez. My mom asked me to come tell you that she apologizes for being late. She is coming up right now." James felt his eyebrows rise. "Rodriguez? Your mother is Emma Rodriguez?" "Yes, sir." Lily nodded solemnly. "She wanted me to wait in the car, but I thought you should know she was not being disrespectful. She has a really good reason for the delay." The hostess appeared, looking flustered. "Mr. Mitchell, I am so sorry. I do not know how this child got past the front desk." "It is fine." James raised his hand. "Lily and I are having an important conversation." He turned back to the girl. "What is the reason for the delay, Lily?" The child bit her lower lip, clearly torn between honesty and protecting her mother. "The parking here costs a lot of money. Mom did not realize it would be $80 just to leave our car. She is downstairs trying to figure out how to pay for it." Something shifted in James's chest. $80. He spent more than that on a single glass of wine without thinking twice. But for this family, it represented a genuine obstacle. "Why did your mother bring you tonight, Lily?" "She could not afford a babysitter." Lily answered with the brutal honesty of a child. "And she thought if the date went well, maybe you could help her find a new job. She lost hers 6 weeks ago." "What kind of work did she do?" "She was in marketing at a big company. But they fired her." Lily's voice dropped to a whisper, as if sharing a secret. "She would not do something they asked that was not honest. Mom says being truthful is more important than keeping a job." James studied the brave little girl standing before him. Everything about this situation was wrong by society's standards. A woman bringing her child to a blind date, unable to afford parking, desperately hoping for networking opportunities disguised as romance. Most men in his position would have been offended or at least put off. Instead, James found himself deeply moved by the courage it must have taken for Emma to come here tonight, and even more impressed by the daughter she had raised. "Lily." James leaned forward. "Why did you really come up here alone?" "Because I did not want you to think my mom was rude or did not care about being on time." Lily's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "She has been so sad since she lost her job. She tries to hide it, but I hear her crying at night. Tonight when she was getting ready, she smiled for the first time in weeks. I did not want you to leave before she got here. Before James could respond, his phone buzzed. A text from the valet service. A woman downstairs was asking if Mr. Mitchell could validate her parking. He immediately typed back instructions to comp the parking entirely and bring her vehicle around whenever she needed it, all charges to his account. How old are you, Lily? I am 8. I will be 9 in 2 months. And what do you want to be when you grow up? Lily's whole face lit up. A veterinarian. I love animals. We cannot have any pets right now because our apartment does not allow them and they cost money to take care of, but someday I want to help sick animals get better. That is a wonderful dream. James smiled. I think you will be excellent at it. You clearly know how to take care of others. Are you mad that we are poor? The question came out in a rush, as if Lily had been holding it back. I know this place is really fancy and we do not have nice clothes or a good car. But my mom is really smart and really kind, and she works harder than anyone I know. James felt something crack inside his carefully constructed walls. Lily, money does not determine worth. Your bravery in coming up here to defend your mother is worth more than anything money can buy. The elevator doors opened, and a woman emerged into the restaurant. James knew immediately it was Emma. She was lovely in a simple black dress that had been chosen carefully to make the best impression possible with limited resources. Her dark hair fell in waves around her shoulders, and though her face showed the strain of recent hardships, there was dignity in the way she held herself as she scanned the room. Lily. Emma's voice carried a mixture of relief and mortification when she spotted her daughter. I told you to wait downstairs. I am sorry, Mom. Lily turned to her mother. But I wanted to explain why you were late. Emma approached the table, and James stood immediately. Ms. Rodriguez. I am James Mitchell. Mr. Mitchell. Emma extended her hand, which trembled slightly. I am so incredibly sorry about this. This is completely inappropriate, and I understand if you want to end the evening right now. Actually. James pulled out the chair beside him. I would like both of you to sit down. I have been having a fascinating conversation with Lily, and I would very much like to get to know her mother. Emma looked bewildered but allowed him to seat her. Lily remained standing, uncertain. Lily can stay? Emma asked quietly. I insist on it. James signaled to a waiter. In fact, I think we should order the whole menu and make this a proper family dinner. What changed in that moment was difficult to define. Perhaps it was the way Emma's eyes filled with grateful tears she tried to blink away. Perhaps it was how Lily moved closer to her mother instinctively, and Emma wrapped a protective arm around her daughter. Or perhaps it was simply that James recognized something authentic in front of him for the first time in years. Ms. Rodriguez. James said after the waiter departed. May I ask you something? Of course. Please call me Emma. Why did you really agree to this date? Emma glanced at Lily, then back at James. She straightened her shoulders, choosing honesty over pretense. Patricia mentioned you were influential in business. I hoped that if we connected, you might know someone who was hiring. She paused. But I also hoped you might be kind. And so far, you have exceeded that hope. Tell me about your previous job. I was Senior Marketing Director at Hartwell Industries. Emma's voice steadied as she spoke about her professional life. I developed campaigns that increased their client retention by 37% over 2 years. But 6 weeks ago, they asked me to approve marketing materials that made false claims about product safety. When I refused and reported it to senior management, they eliminated my position due to budget cuts. You chose integrity over your career. I chose being able to look my daughter in the eye. Emma squeezed Lily's hand. What kind of example would I set if I taught her that keeping a job was more important than being honest? James nodded slowly. And since then, I have sent out over 200 resumes. I have had 3 interviews. Each time, when they call Hartwell for references, I get rejected within 24 hours. She met his gaze directly. I am not looking for charity, Mr. Mitchell. I am looking for a chance to prove my worth based on my actual abilities. What if I told you that I admire what you did more than any professional achievement you could list on a resume? I would say that admiration does not pay rent or buy groceries. Emma replied, then winced. I am sorry. That was rude. It was honest. James smiled. Something I value highly. He looked at Lily, who was watching the adults intently. Lily, what is your favorite food? Pizza. Lily answered immediately. With extra cheese. Then I think we should forget about this fancy restaurant. James stood decisively. I know a place that makes the best pizza in the city, and they have arcade games. What do you say we continue this evening somewhere more fun? Emma stared at him as if he had spoken a foreign language. You want to leave here to go to a pizza place? I want to spend time with people who are real. James offered his hand to Lily, who took it without hesitation. Shall we go? As they rode the elevator down, James caught Emma watching him with a mixture of confusion and cautious hope. He understood her wariness. Nothing about this situation made sense by conventional standards. A billionaire did not typically abandon a high-end restaurant for pizza with a struggling single mother and her child. But as Lily chattered excitedly about her favorite arcade games and Emma allowed herself a genuine smile, James realized that for the first time in a decade, he was exactly where he wanted to be. The pizza parlor was a stark contrast to the elegant restaurant they had left behind. Neon signs blinked cheerfully above red vinyl booths, and the air smelled of melted cheese and tomato sauce. Children laughed and played in the arcade section, their joy filling the space with an energy that no five-star establishment could replicate. James watched Lily race toward the games, her earlier nervousness replaced by pure childhood excitement. Emma stood beside him, still looking somewhat dazed by the turn of events. I cannot believe you actually wanted to come here. Emma said softly. Why not? James smiled. When was the last time you and Lily had fun without worrying about money? Emma's eyes glistened. It has been months. Before everything fell apart. They chose a booth near the arcade so they could watch Lily play. When the waitress came, James ordered a large pizza with extra cheese and 2 sodas. He noticed Emma ordered only water for herself. You should get something for yourself too. James said gently. The water is fine. Emma replied, but James saw through the excuse. She was calculating every dollar, even when he was paying. Emma. James leaned forward. Tonight is my treat. Please order whatever you want. Not what you think you can afford. Her cheeks flushed. This is very kind of you, but I do not want you to think I am taking advantage. The only thing I am thinking is that you are an incredible mother who has been carrying too much weight alone for too long. Emma took a shaky breath. You do not know anything about me. Then tell me. James settled back. Tell me everything. We have all night. So she did. Emma told him about working 2 jobs to put herself through college while raising Lily alone. She spoke about Lily's father, who had left when he discovered Emma was pregnant, claiming he was too young for responsibility. She described the pride she felt climbing the corporate ladder through pure determination, only to have it collapse when she refused to compromise her ethics. The hardest part is not the financial struggle. Emma admitted. It is watching Lily pretend everything is fine when I know she hears me crying at night. She is 8 years old and she worries about things no child should have to think about. She is 8 years old and she is one of the bravest people I have ever met. James countered. That comes from you, Emma. You taught her that courage. Their conversation was interrupted by Lily running back to the table, breathless with excitement. "Mom, James, they have a basketball game and I got the high score." "That is wonderful, sweetie." Emma beamed at her daughter. "Can I have some quarters to play more games?" Lily asked, then quickly added, "It is okay if we cannot afford it." James pulled out his wallet and handed Lily a $20 bill. "Go have fun, princess." Lily's eyes went wide. "This is too much." "Nothing is too much when it comes to seeing you smile," James said, and he meant it with his whole heart. After Lily scampered off, Emma wiped her eyes. "You are going to spoil her, good," James said firmly. "Every child deserves to be spoiled sometimes. Especially one who has been as strong as Lily has had to be." The pizza arrived, and they ate while sharing stories. James told Emma about his own childhood, growing up with parents who gave him everything except their time and affection. He described building his business from the ground up, proving himself beyond his family name, only to discover that success did not fill the emptiness inside. "I have everything money can buy," James said quietly. "But I come home every night to silence. I eat dinner alone. I wake up alone. I have built this enormous life, but there is no one to share it with." "Why not?" Emma asked. "Surely many women would want to be with you." "They want to be with my bank account," James corrected. "You are the first person in years who looked at me and saw a person instead of a dollar sign." "That is not true. I saw the dollar signs too," Emma admitted with a rueful smile. "I am not going to pretend I did not hope you could help with job connections. But you also told me the truth when you could have lied." James reached across the table and took her hand. "Do you know how rare that is?" Their moment was shattered by a scream. Both turned to see Lily on the ground near the arcade machines, her leg bent at an unnatural angle. Emma was on her feet instantly, running toward her daughter with James right behind her. Lily was crying, her face pale with shock and pain. "Mom, it hurts. My leg really hurts." "Do not move, baby." Emma's voice shook despite her efforts to stay calm. "Everything is going to be okay." James was already on his phone calling for an ambulance. "We need emergency services at Gino's Pizza on 5th Avenue. Child with an apparent leg fracture." As they waited, James noticed something terrible in Emma's expression. It was not just worry for Lily. It was absolute terror about something else entirely. "Emma," James said quietly. "What is wrong?" "I do not have health insurance," Emma whispered, barely audible. "I lost it when I lost my job. I cannot afford the emergency room." James felt his heart stop. "You cannot afford it?" "A broken leg, X-rays, possible surgery." Emma's voice cracked. "I have maybe $300 to my name. That will not even cover the ambulance ride." In that moment, James made a decision that would change all of their lives forever. "Emma, look at me." She raised her tear-filled eyes. "I am going to take care of everything. Every test, every treatment, every single expense. And I do not want you to think about money for 1 second. James, I cannot let you do that. It could be thousands of dollars. I do not care if it is $100,000. James said fiercely. "Lily needs help and she is going to get the best care available. Period. Why would you do this for people you just met?" "Because in the last 3 hours, you and your daughter have shown me more genuine humanity than I have experienced in years." James squeezed her hand. "Because Lily had the courage to climb up to that restaurant to protect you. Because you chose integrity over security. Because you are exactly the kind of people I want in my life." The ambulance arrived, and James rode with them to the hospital. He held Lily's hand as she cried, and he held Emma's hand as she tried desperately to stay strong for her daughter. At the hospital, he immediately took charge, telling the admitting staff to bill everything to his account and to get the best pediatric orthopedic surgeon available. Dr. Anderson arrived within 30 minutes. After examining Lily and reviewing X-rays, he delivered the news. It is a clean break, but it needs surgical repair. We will need to insert pins to ensure proper healing. When can you do it? James asked. Tomorrow morning, first thing. Dr. Anderson looked at Emma. I know this is frightening, but your daughter is going to be fine. After the doctor left, Emma finally broke down. She sobbed into James's shoulder while Lily slept peacefully under pain medication. I do not know how to thank you. Emma gasped between tears. I do not know how I will ever repay you. You do not need to repay me. James held her gently. Emma, I need to tell you something, and I need you to really hear me. What? Today my assistant set me up on a blind date with a successful marketing executive. That is what I expected when I walked into that restaurant. James tilted Emma's chin up so she met his eyes. Instead, I met a little girl with more bravery than most adults I know, and I met a woman who has faced impossible odds with grace and strength. I was supposed to meet someone perfect on paper. Instead, I met someone real. James, this is crazy. We just met today. Sometimes you know. James said simply. Sometimes you meet someone and you just know they are supposed to be in your life. I knew the moment Lily stood at my table trying to protect you. I knew when you told me you got fired for being honest. I have been searching for a real connection my entire life, and I found it tonight in the most unexpected way. Emma searched his face, looking for doubt or deception, and found neither. What are you saying? I am saying that I do not want this to end when Lily is healed. I am saying that I want to be part of your lives, if you will let me. James took a deep breath. Move in with me. Both of you. Let me help you get back on your feet. Let me be there for Lily. Let me be there for you. You do not mean that. Emma shook her head. You are caught up in the emotion of the crisis. I have never been more certain of anything. James insisted. I have spent 40 years knowing exactly what I did not want. Tonight I finally found what I do want. A family. A real family. Emma looked at her daughter sleeping peacefully in the hospital bed. We come as a package deal. I would not want it any other way. And I am not looking for a savior or a sugar daddy. If we do this, I need to rebuild my own career. I need my own identity. I would expect nothing less. James smiled. In fact, I think you would be brilliant heading marketing for my real estate development company. If you want the job, it is yours based on your merit. But that is separate from this. From us. Emma wiped her eyes. This is insane. People do not do this. They do not meet someone and decide to become a family in one day. Normal people do not. James agreed. But when did either of us ever claim to be normal? For the first time that night, Emma laughed. A real, genuine laugh that lit up her entire face. You are absolutely crazy, James Mitchell. So is that a yes? Emma looked at Lily, then back at James. Ask me again tomorrow, after the surgery, when we are both thinking clearly. Fair enough. James settled into the chair beside Emma's. I can wait until tomorrow. But as they sat together through the long night, neither of them slept. They talked about everything and nothing, sharing dreams and fears and hopes. They talked about what kind of life they might build together, what kind of family they could become. And with each passing hour, what had seemed impossible began to feel inevitable. When dawn broke through the hospital windows, Emma finally gave her answer. Yes. I am terrified and this is crazy, but yes. James kissed her forehead gently. You will never regret this. I promise you. 6 months had passed since that extraordinary night that changed everything. Emma stood in the kitchen of James's penthouse, which had somehow become their home, watching the sunrise paint the city in shades of gold and pink. So much had transformed, yet in many ways, she was still the same person who had walked nervously into that restaurant with her daughter. The transition had not been easy. There had been moments of doubt, arguments about independence and charity, and the constant fear that she was somehow taking advantage of James's generosity. But through it all, James had remained patient and steady, proving day after day that his commitment was real. "Good morning." James appeared behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "You are up early." "Could not sleep." Emma leaned back against him. "Too much on my mind." "Nervous about today?" Today was significant. Emma was launching her first major marketing campaign for Mitchell Properties, a project she had conceived and executed entirely on her own merit. James had deliberately stayed out of it, letting her succeed or fail based purely on her abilities. "Terrified," Emma admitted. "What if I fail?" "Then you try again." James turned her around to face him. "But you are not going to fail. I have seen your work. It is brilliant. You are biased. I am honest." James kissed her softly. "I told you 6 months ago that I saw something real in you. That has not changed. If anything, I was understating how incredible you are." Their moment was interrupted by a whirlwind in princess pajamas. Lily came running into the kitchen, her leg completely healed from the surgery. She moved without any trace of her injury, as if it had never happened. "Is today the big day?" Lily asked excitedly. "When Mom shows everyone how smart she is?" "It is indeed." James scooped Lily up, making her giggle. "And tonight we are going to celebrate with the biggest ice cream sundaes in the entire city." "Can we really?" Lily's eyes went wide. "We can do anything we want." James set her down. "But first, you need to get ready for school." After Lily scampered off, Emma turned to James with tears in her eyes. "Do you know what she told me yesterday?" "What?" "She said she finally understands what having a father feels like." Emma's voice broke slightly. "She said she never knew what she was missing until you came into our lives." James felt his own eyes burning. "That little girl saved my life, Emma. Both of you did. I was drowning in money and misery, and you gave me a reason to care about something beyond profit margins." The marketing presentation that afternoon was a triumph. Emma stood before the board of directors and major investors, presenting a revolutionary approach to marketing luxury real estate that emphasized emotional connection over pure financial investment. She spoke with confidence born from experience, intelligence sharpened by hardship, and creativity unleashed by security. When she finished, the room erupted in applause. James, sitting in the back deliberately out of her sight line, felt pride surge through him. This was all Emma. Her vision, her work, her success. That was extraordinary. The board chairman approached Emma after the meeting. "I have been in this business for 30 years and that is the freshest thinking I have seen. We would be fools not to implement this immediately." "Thank you, sir." Emma shook his hand, feeling validation she had not experienced since losing her job at Hartwell. James waited until everyone else had left before approaching her. "You were magnificent. I was so nervous I thought I might throw up." Emma confessed. "You did not show it for a second." James pulled her into an embrace. "I am so proud of you." That evening, as promised, they took Lily out for celebratory ice cream. The restaurant James chose was not expensive or exclusive. It was a family place where children laughed loudly and parents did not worry about making noise. It was real and messy and perfect. "Mom," Lily said around a mouthful of chocolate ice cream. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course, sweetheart." "Are you and James going to get married?" The question hung in the air. Emma glanced at James, who was watching her with an expression she could not quite read. "Would you want that?" Emma asked carefully. "Yes," Lily said without hesitation. "I want us to be a real family forever. Not just living together but really officially together." James reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Emma's heart stopped. He opened it to reveal a stunning diamond ring, simple and elegant. "I have been carrying this around for 2 weeks," James admitted. "Waiting for the right moment." He turned to Lily. "What do you think, Princess? Is now a good time?" "Yes," Lily practically shouted, drawing amused looks from other diners. "Yes, yes, yes." James knelt beside the table, still holding the box. "Emma Rodriguez, 6 months ago you walked into my life when I needed you most. You showed me what real courage looks like. You taught me that family is not about blood or tradition. It is about choosing to show up every day and care for each other." He paused, emotion thick in his voice. "I love you. I love Lily. I love the life we are building together. Will you marry me?" Emma's hands shook as she covered her mouth. Tears streamed down her face, but she was smiling. "Yes. Oh yes, James. Yes." He slid the ring onto her finger as Lily cheered and other customers applauded. James pulled both Emma and Lily into a tight embrace, the three of them holding onto each other as if they could merge into one being through sheer force of love. The wedding took place 3 months later in a small ceremony with only close friends and family. Lily served as flower girl, beaming with pride in her pale pink dress. Emma wore a simple white gown that made her look radiant. James could not stop smiling the entire day. But the most meaningful moment came during the ceremony when James knelt down to Lily's level and presented her with a small silver bracelet. "Lily Rodriguez," James said solemnly. "Today I am marrying your mother, but I want you to know that I am also choosing to be your father in every way that matters. I promise to protect you, support you, encourage you, and love you for the rest of my life. Will you accept me as your dad?" Lily threw her arms around his neck, crying happy tears. "Yes, Daddy. I will." There was not a dry eye in the room. The years that followed were not perfect. There were disagreements about parenting styles and money management. Emma insisted on maintaining her own career and her own bank account, refusing to be financially dependent even as James's wife. They argued about spoiling Lily, about work-life balance, about how to handle James's business associates who looked down on Emma's background. But through it all, they chose each other. Every single day, they chose to show up and work through problems rather than walk away. They chose honesty over comfort, growth over stagnation, love over pride. 5 years after their wedding, Emma stood in the kitchen of their home watching James help 12-year-old Lily with her science project. They were building a model of the solar system, and James was completely absorbed in helping his daughter paint Jupiter's red spot just right. "You know," Emma said softly, "I used to think that night at the restaurant was the worst moment of my life. Showing up unable to afford parking, having Lily see me struggle, feeling like a complete failure." James looked up. "And now? Now I know it was the best thing that ever happened to us. Because if everything had been perfect, if I had showed up confident and successful, we might have had a pleasant dinner and never seen each other again. Instead we built something real." James agreed. "Something that matters." Lily looked up from her project. "Are you two being mushy again?" "Absolutely." Emma laughed. "And you better get used to it because we are going to embarrass you with our mushiness for the rest of your life." "That is okay." Lily grinned. "I like it when you are mushy. It means you are happy." And happy they were. Not because life became easy or problems disappeared. They were happy because they had found each other against impossible odds and chosen to build a family based on love, respect, and unwavering commitment. Emma's career flourished. She eventually became Chief Marketing Officer of Mitchell Properties, earning the position through years of exceptional work. James expanded his business, but he also learned to leave work at the office and be present for family dinners and school events. Lily grew into a confident, compassionate young woman who never forgot the struggles that shaped her early years. On their 10th wedding anniversary, James took Emma back to that same luxury restaurant where they first met. This time, Emma wore designer clothes and arrived in a chauffeured car. But she was still the same woman who had walked in terrified and determined a decade earlier. "Do you ever miss it?" James asked over dessert. "The simplicity of that pizza place versus places like this? I miss who we were that night," Emma admitted. "So full of fear and hope and uncertainty. But I do not miss the struggle. I do not miss wondering how I would feed my daughter or pay for her medical care. We were raw that night." James reflected. "Stripped of all pretense. Maybe that is why we connected so deeply. Or maybe we connected because we were meant to find each other." Emma smiled. "Maybe Lily climbing those 40 floors to defend me was fate stepping in." "I do not believe in fate," James said. "I believe in choices. And I choose you. I chose you then, and I choose you now, and I will choose you every day for the rest of our lives." Emma raised her glass. "To the best choice I ever made. Saying yes to a crazy billionaire who wanted to eat pizza with me and my daughter." James clinked his glass against hers. "To the bravest woman I ever met. And to the little girl who taught us both what real courage looks like." They drank to their past, present, and future. They toasted to struggles overcome and dreams achieved. They celebrated not just their love, but the family they had built from nothing but hope and determination. As they left the restaurant that night, walking hand in hand through the city streets, Emma realized something profound. Wealth had not saved her. Success had not rescued her. James had not swooped in as a white knight to fix her problems. Instead, they had saved each other. James had needed her authenticity as much as she had needed his support. Together, they had created something neither could have built alone. A partnership based on equality, respect, and genuine love. And that, Emma thought as James pulled her close under the stars, was the real fairy tale. Not a rich man saving a poor woman, but two broken people finding each other and choosing to heal together. Lily, now in college studying veterinary medicine, often told the story of how her parents met. She described a little girl too scared to let her mother face rejection alone, a mother too proud to accept charity, and a lonely billionaire desperate for something real. "The night my mom apologized for being late," Lily would say with a smile. "That was the night our real life began. Not because of money or luck, but because three people chose to see each other as they truly were and loved what they found. And they lived not happily ever after, because life is never that simple. But they lived honestly, purposefully, and deeply in love. Which in the end, is so much better than any fairy tale could ever be."